Brave New World is a dystopian novel written by Aldous Huxley that explores heavily industrialized London. In the novel, citizens have been conditioned to abide by their predetermined societal roles based on a caste system. The synthetic society implements a lifestyle of pleasure that eliminates many elements of human existence like aging, parents, and grief. The novel follows many perspectives, but predominantly the character John, who is often referred as the savage. He has lived the majority of his life in a separate society called the Reservation, with more primitive traditions and ideological principles. When he enters London with the beckoning of Bernard, he tries to find meaning with a society structured around a meaningless existence.
Aldous Leonard Huxley was an English writer and a philosopher. He wrote nearly 50 books, both novels and nonfiction works, as well as wide-ranged essays, narratives, and poems. Aldous Huxley is best known for his 1932 novel Brave New World. He graduated from Balliol College, Oxford, with an undergraduate degree in English literature. And our question is, does human existence have a higher purpose?
Introduction to the World State, and that, put in the director sententiously, that is the secret of happiness and virtue, liking what you've got to do. All conditioning aims at that, making people like their inescapable social destiny. Huxley is conveying the world state's purpose of life. There is a predetermined path to follow that people ought to be happy with, as it is unescapable. Having this built into your life creates little space for off-route thinking, which is exactly what the world state is all about. All of the people in this world are conditioned to live a certain way. If people have thoughts about disobeying or straying off the path, there is so much to correct them. Men can only be happy when they don't assume that the object of life is to be happy. The Brave New World believes that if you live your life thinking happiness is the only success, then you can never be happy. The citizens of a brave new world are already conditioned to lead happy lives and to be satisfied all the time. So, what is our object of life? If a person has no choice about their livelihood, if this emotion of happiness is the default, can we still think of it as true happiness? If it's given, is it really your purpose, your object of life? If everyone is the same, living like programmed robots, where is the individualism?
Coats of turkey feathers fluttered from their shoulders. Huge feather demons exploded gaudily around their heads. With every step they took came the clink and rattle of their silver bracelets, their heavy necklaces of bone and turquoise beads. They came on without a word, running quietly in their deerskin moleskins. Um, that's because we don't allow them to be like that. We give them transfusions of young blood. We keep their metabolism permanently stimulated, so of course they don't look like adults. They look like children. Chapter 7: The setting of the reservation that allows the novel to consist of historical societies. The world is the main society. It is the one that is considered a stable society with the power and political control. The reservation is a place where the world states put Indians for examination. The difference between their world and ours is that the brave new world society is obsessed with happiness and will stop nothing to get it. Modern society is also driven by happiness but sets limits. The world state sees nothing wrong with using sex and drugs to keep people happy and young. Brave New World is all more relevant in the present times where humanity is lulled and subdued into a false of security and passive obedience by the mean of effectiveness, indulgence, and pleasure.
The return to the world state. Around this time, Linda, who is John's or the Savage's mother, had died, and it's a very hard time for John. In the first quote, John asks the nurse if there any hope of Linda not dying, and the nurse rudely responds, saying, "Of course there isn't, like he should have known that." This shows how they make life meaningless, and there's no empathy for Linda, but John was really affected by it because it was his own mother. The second quote, which is, "Oh God, God, God," the savage kept repeating to himself in the chaos of grief and remorse that filled his mind. It was the one articulate word, God. He whispered it out loud, God. In this quote, John is seeking for higher purpose by repeatedly saying God. Linda's death changed John's views on reality. He's trying to find meaning in individuality, something to rely on. He repeated it so many times, but no one understood what the word God is. That's because John was different from the other characters. He believed in God and religion. It shows how religion is important to him, not just religion, but also art and culture. Even in the worst moment of his life, God is still important to him. The third quote, which is, "The nurse glanced at him with the startled, horrified eyes, then quickly looked away. From the throat to temple, she was all one hot blush." This is how Huxley described the nurse's physical response to when John asks the nurse where his mother is in the hospital. This is extremely uncomfortable for the nurse because she, like everyone else, is conditioned to know that mothers and fathers are not something they have. And because no one has that feeling for an individual because of the world state values community over an individual. John reacts differently without conditioning, and the others are always conditioned to have fake happiness or fake emotions.
So the encounter with the controller. In John's encounter with Mustafa Mond, the controller of London, they tell John that happiness is a hard master, particularly other people's happiness. If one isn't conditioned to accept it unquestionably, then true. So the passage basically implies that since people are content with their standing in society, they'll not seek individual passions or even purpose. And within the world state, it's structured to suppress individuality. People sharing the same conditioning based on their caste exemplifies the dangers of conformity, because in this system, each life is essentially expendable, since there are very limited expressions of individualism. And Mond addresses how the utopian society does not fear mortality, and it lacks strife and greed, as well as many other basic elements of human nature. In the quotes that people are happy, they get what they want, and they're never afraid of what they can't have. They're not afraid of death. They're blissfully ignorant of passions and old age. People are happy with no perception of a state of unhappiness. And by enforcing this lifestyle and mindset, people are withheld from their ability to think past their present condition. Mond's logic inhibits the human condition, which derives meaning from self-discovery and not from conformity in an unchanging society that basically utilizes synthetic happiness.
The lighthouse. Oh, my God, my God. He covered his eyes with his hand. John the Savage wakes up to remember all that he has done. He murdered Lenina, the woman he loved, the woman who loved him back. He gave in to this chance, his anger, his desires. He joined the orgy to give into his need for satisfaction. The brave new world broke John. The happiness that is conditioned to the world state's people is one that is irresistible. Slowly, very slowly, like two unhurried compass needles, the feet turn towards the right, north, northeast, east, southeast, south, south, southwest. This image, as laid out by Huxley, is one of John, the savage's feet dangling, swing like a broken compass needle. This is a strong image that gives off unsettling vibes. Overcome with guilt and grief, John has killed himself. The swaying of his deceased body is written in an eerie fashion as to signify the misdirection and display satisfaction in his end. John's romanticized hunt for individuality and truth in a world where there is no such thing led to his own downfall. The hunt for individualism and truth is nonsensical in a society where people die at 25 and ingest soma like it's water. The act of ending his own life and taking Lenina's has impact on no one. As the people of the world state see this as entertainment, they learn no lesson from John in life nor in death. He was slashing at her with his whip of small cords. Oh, the flesh, the savage ground his teeth. This time it was on his shoulders that the whip descended. Kill it, kill it. Lenina was created in a world opposite John, where happiness is everything. Happiness is the main goal in life. Lenina was, to quote, like her inescapable social destiny. Lenina was there in the moment to help John, all conditioning aside. She was in love with a man from the reservation who was starting to make her forget her conditioning. A man who then killed her in cold blood, taking away her purpose, a purpose which she was trying to start to fill. Lenina is there out of love and compassion for John, for she found purpose in him.
So for our nonfiction source, we basically discussed the reward system. The reward system associated with the mesolimbic dopamine pathway basically contributes to reward seeking and assigning importance to environmental stimuli. When we experience something rewarding, dopamine neurons in the VTA, otherwise known as the ventral tegmental area, are basically stimulated. And this causes dopamine levels in the nucleus accumbens to rise, and other neurotransmitters that aid in this process are serotonin and oxytocin, which regulate mood and other the development of emotional connections with others. All these processes are basically fundamental for having a response to external stimuli. Human nature derives motivation from the release of these neurotransmitters. And when we seek rewards, if our fulfillment of these needs are met, like connecting with others and individual forms of achievement, we will feel a sense of purpose because we are rewarded. So in the Brave New World Society, it's basically structured so, specifically the world state, it's structured so everyone is content or synthetically happy. However, Huxley really emphasizes that purpose is not derived from the pursuit of happiness. The higher purpose of human existence is to embrace individuality, pursue personal goals, and find meaning through connections with others. However, there's no clear-cut purpose of life that can be captured within a sentence. Thank you.